Where are you from?
I am from Los Angeles. I grew up in Venice by the beach.
How were you discovered?
I was discovered at 11 years old. I was like shopping at a mall with my mom, and yeah, it was like someone just scouted me. So.
What magazines or ads have you been in?
I've been in Double Magazine, Oyster, 032C. I just did Vans for their spring summer of next year. Ray-Ban, HSBC, Starbucks, and a couple like lookbooks from friends that live in like the LA area. So.
How do you feel about this career?
I think it's great. I feel like I'm still really young, and I feel like there's a lot more to learn, and there's a lot more to do, and a lot more exciting people to meet, and yeah, I think it's also like a growing experience. I like stopped for 3 years so I could like focus on school, and I feel like that really helped me become more of like a grounded person, and yeah, so I think it's great.
How did you decide to become a model?
I didn't really feel like I didn't really like decide to become. I feel like it just sort of happened in a really strange way, and I felt like when I stopped I was trying to just like look at it in a really dark way, and I was like, this is just like for phony people. Yeah, so I never really felt like I wanted to become one. It just sort of found me, and then I just discovered some type of purpose for it. So
how would you describe your type, specialty, or niche?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people who tell me like you're too commercial or you're too editorial, so I don't know, I feel like I'm like the gap-toothed freckled girl, and I can be like somewhere in between both. But I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know. I guess it's like anyone can say anything, and that's it. So.
Who is your favorite model that you look up to?
My favorite model that I look up to. I would have to say probably Giselle. Not only because she's Brazilian like I am, but because she seems like she has a really cool personality and like a really good soul, and has managed to stay really humble throughout all of like her success. And yeah, and I've heard good things about her. I have like a few family friends that have worked for her, and they've said that she's like really, really sweet, and yeah.
What would your ideal job be?
Well, I had been in school for neuropsychology, and I was like really into doing research in a basement for a really long time, and I would still really like to do that, but it's just kind of, it feels like I'm being trapped sometimes. I've also like I'm like a singer, and I've always been singing, and I used to play piano, and I'm like starting to get back into it, so probably like somewhere in like music and doing films and doing research. I don't know, something along those lines.
Do you consider yourself to be lucky?
I am. I feel like I am lucky because I grew up in such like an amazing city, and I have such great parents who are still together, and all of my family is really supportive, and my friends, and yeah, I feel like I have sunshine every day. It's like, I can't really complain.
What advantages do you have?
Advantages. I would say probably the attitude that I have. Like, yeah, I feel like I mostly have a really good attitude. Like, I'm very positive and in between realistic too. I'm not like, sometimes I can get negative if I'm in a bad mood. But, yeah, I feel like I'm, you know, highly aware of things and conscious of like myself and my body, and I feel like a lot of people who are my age don't really have that, and that's why I can't really, like, I've never really connected with a lot of people my age. So
What did you do before?
I was in school, so yeah, I was studying. Doing college stuff. Not partying though.
Why didn't you want to continue?
I felt like I was being pressured by society. I had like just a nervous breakdown. I was like going through kind of like a quarter life crisis, except I wasn't 25. And I felt like learning is something that I always loved to do. I just always felt, I'm like severely dyslexic, and I felt like the way that the school system is set up wasn't designed for people who have like brains and like learning disabilities like I do. And so I just always felt like I was being undervalued for the amount of work that I was putting in. And there was like a huge discrepancy between like the amount of work that I was putting in and like the grades that I was getting. So, I mean, it was like completely demoralizing. And so I had to stop and like, you know, find something that made me happier, and, you know, I could still read and stuff that like I'm interested in and still learn about and like go to the library. So I decided to stop.
Would you rather have a car or a diploma?
I would rather have a car, because that can get you way farther than a diploma in many cases.
How do you feel about globalism?
In what way? Like sorry, I didn't mean to ask. I don't know. I feel like the world is changing really, really quickly, and I'm not really sure what to think of if it is, you know, all of these conspiracy theories of like the world's gonna end, and like there's gonna be, you know, these like glaciers are melting, and like there's like overpopulation, like in the next 30 years, like, you know, we're gonna have to cut down on having children, and then there's gonna be a huge water war. I mean, I don't know. There's so much that I could say about it, but I don't want to talk too much in this interview.
What do you think about the amount of stuff people buy?
I think, you know, it's a void that they're trying to fill in some way, but also it's, again, this like pressure of like this capitalistic society that we live in. Yeah, I feel, and I sometimes get that. I sometimes like feel like, oh, I need to buy this because this is like what they're trying to sell me, and like I need that, you know, like I need like a shinier hair oil because it's going to make my hair like glossier and softer. I mean, I feel like you can't really avoid not buying like stuff that you don't need, but I've been really good about it since I've like been financially independent. So I've like taken a step back and be like, I don't really need this, and I can like be creative and like use, you know, natural stuff and like make my own concoctions of, I don't know, juices and healthy stuff. So I don't know, I feel like in the end it's something that people should go to therapy for.
Would you rather live the American way or be a socialist?
Well, I guess also having Brazilian culture, it's hard for me to sometimes feel like I'm an American and be proud that I'm an American, because there's a lot that I don't agree with. But at the same time, the values and like the laws and everyone just like respects each other more, and there's more like, you know, there's boundaries, and that's, I feel like, is really important. So I feel like American is pretty good.
What does the American way mean to you?
The American way? I feel like it's interesting because here, you know, people, as soon as they turn 18, they're like moving out of the house, and, you know, they're like kind of getting a sense of what being independent and like freedom is like. Whereas in Brazil, like, kids are living with their parents until they get married. So, and then, you know, if they do decide to move out, their parents are always helping them, where I feel like in American culture, it's like, you figure it out yourself. You do this. Like, you know, it's like your life. And I feel like it's great because you learn a lot, and in a way you grow up faster and you experience more things. But in another way, I feel like it's not a very good thing. It can be really handicapping for a lot of people. So, yeah, I feel like it's more of like the American way is like being independent and getting stuff done.
What does the future look like to you?
Something like 28 weeks later. Something like that, but also, you know, lots of studies being conducted and without us knowing, and we're being like abducted by the government. So yeah, something like that.
How do you feel about having children?
I mean, I think about it from time to time, but I had a lot of psychology classes, and I was really close with a professor of mine, and he would always say the best thing that you can do for the world is not to have children. And I really took it, you know, seriously, and I've taken it to heart. And also I'm like, that's just silly, you know, like, people are going to have families, people are going to have kids, but in a way it's like, you know, everybody's having kids, and the world is just like, there's so many people, and there's like limited resources for that many people. So I feel like I would probably end up adopting.
Can you tell me what conflicts or challenges the world is facing today?
Well, yes. I can tell you that in Brazil it's really sad because they didn't win the World Cup. Yeah, I mean, the whole Ukrainian government is being ripped apart right now, in a good way. I feel like things have to get worse before they get better. You know, in Egypt, same thing is happening. And I feel like, you know, with the influence that they have on American culture, it's making people have more of a voice, which is awesome. And I feel like if the American way wasn't so like, you need to stand up for your rights, you need to like speak out, many of these countries wouldn't be revolting or, you know, standing up for what they want.
What is your favorite way to communicate?
Probably through talking, because I talk a lot, and I can talk all day long, so yeah.
What do you think about the creative scene in Los Angeles?
Growing up here, I think it's the best it's ever been now. The art scene is really becoming very diverse and really interesting, and, you know, it's awesome because artists can find bigger spaces for less money, whereas like the East Coast and Europe, it's like more expensive, and there's like inflation. So yeah, and I feel like there's a lot more like commotion, and there's a lot more like good energy and like good vibes, and there's this like length of different vibrations, and mostly because I'm in this field, but yeah, I feel like there's so many like amazing new designers that are coming out from LA, and new musicians, and or like people are moving here and making great music or making good art. So I feel like it's just gonna get better.
What is your favorite book, film, and music right now?
My favorite, well, I haven't read a book recently, which I have to get on because I've been moving, so it's been a whole other thing. But I did watch Venus and Fur, the new Polanski film, and it was good. It was like an hour and a half long, just pure dialogue and like just one shot in a theater, which is, it gave me a headache like midway through the film, but I was like, I can do this. And there were like really great moments and funny, and it was like very Polanski. But yeah, and then song-wise, music-wise, I'm really getting into the blues again, because I have like a bunch of records that I've like collected, like Muddy Waters and Mississippi John Hurt, so